passengers on a train become increasingly paranoid and suspicious due to a mysterious pending message. Speculation and rumors about hidden motives and potential dangers escalate, causing tension and anxiety. The cause of the message, whether it be a technical issue, a terrorist plot, or a more malicious scheme, remains unknown. The wait becomes a desperate fight for survival. It was a regular day in Japan, with people getting on the train to go to their destinations. On a typical day, everybody is occupied with their own tasks, watching interesting videos, and connecting with people on social media. Talking about their plans for the evening, they have no idea that in a matter of minutes, their lives will drastically change. Suddenly, the train picks up speed, and odd things begin to happen, like a bottle cap rolling across the coach floor, and vanishing out of sight. The train stops suddenly as it passes through a dark tunnel, and alerts passengers about strong earthquakes, via their phones. People who recover consciousness cannot believe what has transpired. When a passenger opens the entrance doors, a flurry of people rushes out, screaming and pushing each other, as they jump off the tall steps. However, when they get outside, they can't believe what they see. All the coaches have vanished, and all signs of civilization are gone, leaving only the ruins of a destroyed city, covered in grass and trees. They were in without a trace, well, not until the fifth one. With the passage of time, the passengers get to know Shirohama, one of the guys. A firefighter examines the injured and suggests checking the tunnel behind the coach. He is joined by a girl named Katana, and a guy named Hayashima, who also want to understand what happened. Meanwhile, the police in the city cannot figure out where the last two coaches have gone. While the rest of the train and the passengers remain undamaged, the three volunteers enter the tunnel and walk through the dark underworld for a long time. Suddenly, they notice a light ahead and hurry towards it, but when they emerge outside, they are astonished. There is only a huge, desolate desert in the area, nothing to remind them of the year 2023, with its skyscrapers and technology. Startled, the three go back to their other unfortunate companions. People don't believe their report at first, but they are forced to accept the new reality when Hayashima plays a video of the surrounding area. 7 hours later, as everyone waits impatiently for rescue, Renye, one of the girls, surreptitiously searches Hayashima's bag, and discovers a letter bearing the seals of the security department, leading her to suspect that the guy is a criminal. Renye snatches food from Katana's bag, but thinking she was seen, she discards the package. Hayashima picks it up and carries it to the train. Just as Katana discovers the theft, seeing it in the guy's hands, the passengers accuse him of theft. At this time, Shirohama pulls out a box of fruits and offers to share them. One of the guys watches the video he made earlier, which evidently shows Renye stealing the food, and discovering Hayashima is innocent, while Katana is distributing the food. Katana and Shirohama chase after him and save the man just in time before he tumbles into a deep ditch. In return, he acknowledges that he is 30 years old and a hairdresser, but he won't say where the letter from the colony Nightfalls came from. Somehow, travelers drift off to sleep, but many can't because they're too anxious about what lies ahead. People start realizing in the morning that they might not make it back home. Shirohama tries to gather the scattered people, but a friend asks the guy not to take responsibility for other people's lives. Then the firefighter confesses that because of him, his colleague was injured, losing the ability to walk. Now he believes he must help everyone, so he can get together. They catch up with those who left and persuade them to return to the coach to solve problems. Collectively, seeing this, Hayashima remembers his brother, who was in prison, and the letter in his bag was from him. He still feels bad about his older brother turning into a criminal, but fate had it that he had to raise his younger brother. A few travelers investigate the surroundings, and discover the remains of a tall tower in the interim. This is especially strange because, according to the news, construction was supposed to be finished in 2026. However, one of the passengers discovered a ken in the forest that year, and one of the biologists there discovered a plant whose genetic modification takes 30 years. It turns out that they are in the far future of Earth, so this is not exactly a happy discovery. In 2023, there are messages on all the channels regarding the disappearance of two coaches carrying at least 100 passengers. As night falls and many start to lose hope, Katana and Shirohama place plastic containers on the coach's roof, in the hopes of receiving rain. In the morning, the biologist points out to the other that there is a lot of greenery, indicating that there must be water nearby. A group of youth then set out to explore the forest, and on the way, Hayashima confesses that his parents are criminals. Later, the guy sees a frog, indicating that there is water nearby but also impassable cliffs that must be climbed using ropes. After the group heads back to the train, The cutting wire heads towards the cliffs once again. Shirakalma reaches the summit and shouts with joy when he sees a waterfall, but when he looks around, he is shocked to see that instead of Mount Fuji, a sea stretches out in front of him. He tells the others about this, and they begin to wonder what happened to their planet. At night, everyone goes to sleep, but Tanaka, the oldest passenger, goes outside and sees an unfamiliar person. When he tells people about it, no one believes him, and then it begins to rain, assisting people in gathering water and even baking. In the meantime, the biologist keeps researching the local wildlife, and discovers a number of edible plants, which she shows the others. Katana also consumes a poisonous berry, but thankfully, her poisoning is not fatal. The passengers are brought down to earth by the news that the girl is well. When they finally realize they cannot survive if they remain motionless, individuals set to work, even crafting utensils from bamboo bank cards that function as respectable knives. You guys gather water from the waterfall, and they make plant-based soup. However, some people become ill after supper, and the biologist finds a few deadly berries in the communal pot. Someone recalls seeing Tanaka, who is not one of them, close to the pot. Shirahama bravely embarks on a search for Tanaka, only to stumble and lose his torch along the way. Despite this setback, he returns with a valuable find, Hayashima's lost barber tools that he had been sorely missing. The biologist then announces his intention to search for a nearby river, with his friends joining him. However, their journey takes a dangerous turn when they encounter a stranger who injures the biologist before fleeing. Thankfully, they are able to provide the injured man with first aid, thanks to the timely assistance of a medical student on the train. As they anxiously wait for news of the biologist's condition, Tanaka unexpectedly reappears from the forest, bringing a sense of relief and hope to the group. The man turned out to be employed by a security company, and was skilled in setting up traps around the camp. Reni had asked Hayashima to fix her hair, and soon there was a line for him. Meanwhile, Shirama and Katana noticed that an adolescent had been caught in one of the traps. However, the boy managed to escape on his own, leading the friends to chase after him and eventually find themselves by the river. The boy asked them to wait for him there, but Hayashima noticed their disappearance and pursued them, eventually finding them by the river. The teenager reappeared at this point, leading the friends to coach number 6, which had mysteriously ended up there. A few kilometers away from their previous location, the passengers of the 5th coach were graciously greeted by the esteemed leader of the 6th coach, Yumoto. Fortunately, their coach was situated near a river abundant with fresh water and fish. Among their group was a skilled builder, who efficiently organized the camp setup, including the construction of a kitchen and toilet facilities. The newcomers were relieved to find their injured biologist among the group. He admits to committing the act out of trepidation, under the impression that he was at risk of being assaulted. He humbly bows and expresses remorse for his actions. Yumoto acknowledges the plausibility of reverting to the past. The individual reveals that in their initial days, they stumbled upon a small boat on the river, which enabled them to repair a radio and intercept a signal, purportedly originating from Canada. The message mentioned the year 2060, leading the individual to infer that a cataclysmic event transpired in 2026, wherein an enormous asteroid collided with Earth, resulting in devastating earthquakes. As tsunamis ravaged the globe and claimed billions of lives, the resulting dust in the atmosphere blocked sunlight, and led to the extinction of remaining species. Importantly, the asteroid's impact was not a random event, but rather a result of human error, as individuals began launching satellites without proper oversight. This man-made disaster underscores the need to revisit the past and alter our future trajectory. Drawing inspiration from the passengers on the number 6 coach example, the group decided to take a collective action, and cleanse themselves by the river. Meanwhile, Tanaka's condition continues to deteriorate as he constructs a makeshift doll, out of branches and engages in conversations with it. At long last, the bath is prepared, allowing the people to bathe and wash their clothes after many days. A peculiar stone is discovered by the riverbank, which catches Yumoto's attention and prompts him to send his followers to retrieve it. However, Renier notices suspicious individuals and learns from one of the men that the stone may hold the key to their return home. The women debate the necessity of returning, leading to a confrontation where her pushes Katana, causing her to stumble and unearth a buried body. Meanwhile, Tanaka reads about a search for a murderer in the newspaper, sparking concern. As this unfolds, Renier and Katana are ambushed by individuals from the 6th coach. However, Reni manages to escape and informs her companions about the discovery of a deceased individual. Meanwhile, Katana eludes her pursuers in the forest. The 5th coach decides to fashion weapons, while Shirahama and Hayashima seek assistance from neighboring individuals. Despite their efforts, the girl was not found. Katana eventually reaches a boat, where Yamato is compelled to reveal that he killed a passenger, who had turned violent with a knife. This revelation leads to Yamato being perceived as a leader. The group return, hoping for Katana's return, only to find her missing. They decide to seek justice from the sixth coach and continue their search for Katana. She hides in the boat when Yamato arrives, pretending to communicate with an unknown location. Upon discovering that the wires have been cut, the girl realizes the man's intentions of creating a new society in their current location, leading him to confide in her. Subsequently, he incapacitates, and confines Katana in a cabin to silence her cries. As tensions rise among the passengers of the fifth coach, a woman proposes seeking refuge in a nearby building, to avoid conflict with the neighboring group. Meanwhile, individuals from the sixth coach venture out to scavenge supplies from the neighbors, only to become ensnared in traps, sparking a confrontation upon the arrival of the remaining passengers from all six coach. And there are more men among them. The fight escalates into a real battle, which is stopped by the appearance of the escaped Katana, who accuses Yamato of lying. The passengers decided to exile the former leader, before leaving the man in charge of a journal that contained information about the tower that could help them return to the past. Meanwhile, those who went in search of the building arrived at the tower, and discovered glowing asteroid fragments. He was forced to admit to the deception, but he just wanted to keep people's spirits up, and scientist Ray finds in 2023, that a wormhole formed in the tunnel at the exact moment, when two coaches vanished after watching security camera footage. The anomalous distortion in the space-time continuum prompted the passengers to carefully analyze the journal discovered by Yamato, leading them to uncover the precise date of the impending disaster. Additionally, they possess a remarkable asteroid fragment, with a powerful magnetic field. One passenger recalled witnessing a celestial event resembling a falling star on the day of their departure, while Renier deduces that it was actually a supernova flare from the future. Upon further examination, an expert further elaborates that supernovas occur in the cosmos when a star exhausts its life cycle and detonates, emitting a significant amount of energy. This phenomenon is believed to have created the temporal rift, through which both coaches inadvertently traveled, necessitating the reopening of this wormhole later that evening. Tanaka opens the rear tunnel doors, only to have a sudden burst of wind seize his doll and carry it into the wormhole formed by the hurricane. However, once the storm dissipates, the wormhole vanishes, leaving the coaches stranded in 2023. Scientists discover Tanaka's doll passengers in the future and determine that in order to activate the wormhole, they must locate a strong energy source. They begin searching for remnants of power lines, and eventually uncover an electrical substation, where functioning equipment is miraculously still intact. By channeling sufficient electricity into the tunnel, they are able to stabilize the wormhole. As a storm approaches that will allow them to return to the past, they harness the power of the substation to open the wormhole, allowing everyone to board the carriage except for Tanaka, who chooses to remain in the future. The coach is engulfed by a void and propelled through the fabric of space and time until it reaches its destination, whereupon security service personnel confirming their arrival on May 1, 2023, welcome the coach. Consequently, with the impending asteroid calamity mere months away, the passengers undergo stringent quarantine protocols, and present the authorities with fragments of the meteorite, and peculiar blueprints outlining their plans for the future. Regrettably, the officials remain skeptical of the foretold apocalypse. Following the incident, there is a significant online discussion regarding time travelers, generating a fan base that sustains interest in their story regarding the impending apocalypse. Concurrently, renowned scientist Ray becomes increasingly convinced of the travelers' authenticity, having independently monitored the asteroid's trajectory. A plea is shared online by one of the passengers, warning the general public of the imminent threat. Additionally, a former government official among the travelers seeks an audience with the Minister of Defense. The day of the disaster is almost here, as she listens to her former colleague, and reports that the government is taking their statements seriously, and is getting ready to launch a missile that can change the asteroid's course so that it passes by Earth. The military successfully completes their mission, and alters the meteorite's trajectory, sparing humanity from total extinction. The travelers decide to meet together on the platform, to determine whether it was possible to avert the disaster and, if not, to perish together. This series presents a unique blend of theories regarding humanity's potential downfall, with a particularly impactful conclusion. It underscores the idea that the fate of our planet is intricately tied to the choices made by each person, emphasizing the shared responsibility of all individuals in shaping the future of Earth. Thanks for watching. Take care and bye now. See you in the next video.